You're listening to Awards Magnet, a Gold Derby podcast hosted by Joyce and Christopher Rosen. Welcome back to Awards Magnet. Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce. Joyce, it's time for another mailbag episode. We're cracking into the mailbag.
Gee, I wonder what these emails are about this week.
I have to say, Joyce, a lot about Karla Sofía Gascón.
Shocking.
Some are actually, this is such a move. The story is moving so fast. We're recording this on Thursday, so Lord knows what will happen on Friday. When we recorded this last week on Thursday, we didn't even, this had not even exploded. The comments,
it was just starting because we recorded in the morning.
Yes,
so.
It was just starting, and we were behind the story basically. But now, so who knows what we'll be at 24 hours from now?
I mean, we were behind by the time it publised.
Right, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. So who knows where we'll be at in 24 hours? Now, I'll tell you this: a lot of the emails were wondering how the Oscars will handle the Fab Five coming on to announce the nominees, and as we found out, those are all moot now because they're not going to do that. They've decided against it. For acting. I can't wait to see who Martin Scorsese does for director. Who do you think it'll be?
Jacques, obviously.
Wow. So you can email us at slugfest@goldderby.com and we'll read your emails. These are real emails from real listeners. And they're all just great. We're starting with Jasmine Joyce, who emailed us. Hi, Joyce and Chris. I can't remember the last time I saw someone implode or self-destruct as badly as Karla Sofía Gascón. A single statement and apology, crafted with the help of a PR professional, would have sufficed. This controversy would not have gone away, of course, but it would have been better than what has transpired since she has gone rogue and doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down. Still, it has made for an eventful end to award season, and this got me thinking, what is your favorite awards-related controversy? Thanks, that's Jasmine.
I like silly ones, not real ones. I like controversies.
Okay.
The ones that are not real, because this is an actual controversy. Because she just kept the flames going. You know, it was already bad from the start.
Yeah.
But, you know, it could have just been like Jasmine said, apology, and then take a back seat. And then it'll leave the news cycle after a couple weeks, even days.
We talked about this, I don't know when we talked about this, maybe even offline, but like the way the world moves and the way the news cycles work, not that people would have forgotten about this, but this would not have been a week-long story in the trades and the entertainment press had she apologized and moved on. Now once there's blood in the water, then everything is just going to be churned up all the time. And that's why you're getting multiple headlines where everybody's writing multiple stories about this controversy. It's just like
her Instagram posts every day since then.
Yes. Every post is a controversy. And then because she won't stop talking about it, every comment that the actors in the movie make, like Zoe Saldana or the director Jacques Audiard, who spoke on Wednesday to Deadline, makes, it becomes another news cycle. And it is just constant and not stopping. And that's just not what you want. So, I don't know what controversies. I agree with you. I get just fatigued by this. I feel like.
Yeah.
It's just very exhausting. So I'm trying to think of what controversies would be fun. What ones were you thinking of?
I mean, I wouldn't say like they're my favorite. I just think like when they bubble up online, because it's always online, and 99% of them never leave Twitter. It's just always online. Like, it never actually travels to the voters, as we know, even though everyone online thinks it does.
Correct.
But like even just like this season alone, like the Nora intimacy coordinator, like it's not my favorite, but it's just something that like happened online, and everyone thought it was a big deal. Like, this is just a thing happening on Twitter that you're all mad about for 2 days. It'll blow over. Like, the Brutalist AI thing. Like, the wicked pay gap between Ariana and Cynthia, which is so stupid. And then, like, Universe had to come out and be like, no. Like it was just, like, some random, like, not even source. It was just, like, a screenshot somewhere that got aggregated, obviously. And then everyone bought into that and believed it, you know? But it's like those are like, I don't like them, but like those are just like the silly stuff that I think is just part of award season. And I wouldn't say makes it fun, but it's what keeps everyone outraged and arguing online, you know?
Joyce has not seen these emails, but I got one here from Ralph that is actually almost exact. I'm going to read it to you, Joyce, because this is really good. Because it's a lot of the stuff we're talking about here. From Ralph. Ralph says, "Hi, Joyce and Chris. I've been a long-time listener. I love the show and your chemistry, but this is the first time I'm writing in. Joyce, I tried to keep this brief. I mean, Okay.
Wow, is it that long?
No, it's not that long. It's fine. The Karla Sofía Gascón controversy has obviously exploded the Amelia Perez campaign, but I wanted to ask what you think about its impact on other awards season controversies. I don't know about you, but this year has been exhausting, with stan armies just flooding the zone with outrage. We've seen the Brutalist AI scandal, the Honora intimacy coordinator scandal, the always there drumbeat of Adrian Brody outrage, his Halle Berry kiss, his SNL appearance, Fernando Torres' blackface controversy. It's made this whole thing slightly less fun. So my question is, has Karla Sofía Gascón taken up enough space to where these other scandals won't have an impact on the race?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we talked about this before, because this one is, like, actually real.
Right. And I think for all those people that mentioned there and all those things, like you said, I think even voters might not remember. I mean, online people certainly remember the Honora intimacy coordinator gate,
yes.
But I don't think people really do. You know what I mean? Like, I think if you ask even a voter, they'd be like, what are you talking about? And like, obviously the Adrian Brody stuff has just become like, it keeps coming up, but it's also like, it's not great. Obviously, I'm not going to defend it, but also, like, it was like, there was a time, I'll say this, there was a time when that was considered a great Oscars moment. We've obviously evolved maybe a little bit as a culture, but like, you know, it's like things have changed. So it's like people, like an older voter might remember that fondly, you know what I mean? Versus like now people being like, that was terrible.
And the thing is like the kiss is obviously, it was without her consent.
Yes.
Obviously. But it also wasn't malicious. It's like you want to call him out right now, but you're also kind of being intentionally obtuse. Like, clearly he was overwhelmed in the moment, and he was like, this is how he was celebrating. Right. Like, there was no malicious intent behind it. Like, should he have done it? No. And also, like, after he won the Golden Globe, Halle Berry congratulated him on Instagram.
That's funny. And in terms of this year, I think I would say a lot of those controversies also happened like before the nominations. Even the Brutalist AI one, right, was before the nominations. The one that happened after, to me, like Fernando Torres' blackface controversy, where she was. Do people even remember this? This was 2 weeks ago, but she was in a Brazilian comedy show.
The next day was Karla dragging supporters of Fernanda, and then the next day was her tweets.
Yes. So then that one, it was a very old Brazilian comedy sketch show that resurfaced, and she proactively apologized for it. That was one actually, Joyce, I gotta say, you're more on top of this than me usually, but that was one I had not seen until the apology, I have to say. I was like, what on earth is this headline? Because I had not seen, most of these other ones I see online, and then you see the apology later or whatever, but this one I was like, wow, I totally missed this as a controversy online, and now she's already apologizing for it. So anyway, I think for Ralph's question, this probably does lessen or, you know, remove those controversies from the equation as much, because I think nothing is going to be more controversial this year than Karla's tweets and refusal to stop talking.
Yeah, like these are all controversies that I would say most of the industry is not aware of. And if you mention them, to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And like, who cares, especially for the Brutalist AI stuff. It's like, this is just standard, like, corrective AI tools you use in post. You know, it's like no different than like ADR, you know? No.
And Adrian talked about that this week too, I think in an interview with Vanity Fair.
And his variety cover too.
Right.
But like, I think what all of this stuff, like we talked about this last week too, like, or even 2 weeks ago maybe, like this is, like this season has really been like Stan Wars.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny with like the Karla thing, because like so many people have obviously invoked Harvey Weinstein and his infamous smear campaigns back in the day and everything. And like, it's true in the past, like maybe it's like Apple Research smear campaigns, like started by a rival studio or something. But, you know, now in this era of social media, especially recently, like a lot of the stuff happens online out of the control of like the PR machine, right? Or, you know, rival studios. Like all of the stuff we've talked about originated online. Like, I think some people think maybe it's like, oh, it's a rival studio resurfacing this. I'm like, no, it's actually just stans who are crazy parasocial.
The thing I've noticed this year is more than any other year, this season, I guess 24 and into 25, is the legacy of that Harvey Weinstein is like an Oscars like guy, right? Like, or like the originator of all this stuff, like you're saying, like the campaigning and the dirty tricks and like all these things, is that like real, like that used to be like you're saying, like, oh, the studios or like people would be like running campaign, right? Like a political campaign, and they're kind of like feeding this stuff. And what has happened is I think everybody involved in award season, including people watching it from the sidelines, has now become just done that on their own, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not just the controversies that they're digging up or like looking for. It's also like the way they look at the film. Like we used to mock, like, this is my pet peeve, but I'm like, this is, and not related to controversy, but I'm like, we used to mock, like, honor the man, honor the film. Remember that was the infamous
Iconic.
imitation game campaign, and it was so overwrought and so stupid. But now I'm like, that's how people view these award season movies, that they have to have like a greater meaning. Like we saw this with like Gladiator 2, which we both enjoyed. I'm not going to sit here and defend Gladiator 2 as like a fantastic movie, but I really loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun to watch. And it feels like a movie that I think was like underserved because people were trying to take it super seriously. You've talked about this before, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or even Saturday Night is a movie I don't think you liked as much as me, but I'm like, that was a movie that was like really fun and was dinged because for a variety of reasons. But one of the ones I like was always like, oh, it's not about anything. It doesn't have anything to say. And I'm like, it's just a movie. A lot of these things are just movies. And with Amelia Perez, I think what we're seeing, like Jacques Audiard yesterday was talking in the interview Deadline. What did he say? He had when he was trying to explain the offensive thing he said about the Spanish language.
Oh, it was like he was trying to find like international,
No, but what he said, he was being tried in the court of realism. Is that is that what it was?
Yeah.
That was like an iconic line. Obviously, I was like, wow, that is what a turn of phrase, being tried in the court of realism. And I was like, the problem with that is, and I'm like, I have a lot of sympathy, obviously, for these people to have to try to like distance themselves or defend themselves against, like, it's not their controversy, right? Like Karla Sofía Gascón, like Jacques Audiard has his own controversies, but like to have to talk about the Karla stuff like we've talked about with Zoe Saldana, it just feels like, you know, it's kind of sucks, right? Because it's like they're not
like why like they don't need to answer someone else's misdeeds.
And it's not even like that Jacques Audiard maybe was like pushing his movie in this way, but I think the other reason the backlash to Amelia Perez has been so loud is because it is the message movie, right? It's like that, it's that Harvey, old school Harvey thing where the movie is important and says something and you want to honor, you know, Imitation Game style, honor the film, right? Like that kind of thing. And when you are doing that, then you are being tried in the court of realism, even if your movie wasn't intended to be that way. You know what I mean? And that's, I think, what the issues always come up, especially with something like this. And that's probably why the backlash to Amelia Perez has been so strong.
Yeah, I mean, there's like the separate criticism from the trans and Mexican communities, obviously, with like, especially like the Mexican criticism of how realistic everything like about the culture is or is not, right? Yeah, like the whole messaging of the film is like just about progressive values and trans rights, LGBTQ rights, and like it's been built on this ideal, and you know, Karla playing the title role is like she became this symbol, and now it's all been undercut by her tweets. So like that's the problem with, like, I mean, if their messaging had been different from the start, like this whole scandal would also be different.
Right.
But now like they're forced to defend that part of it.
We have an email here. This is speaking of this. We'll do one. We have so like I said, most of these are about Amelia Perez, Joyce, but this one I thought was really good. It's from Robin, who emailed us, I think back in December, with a trans perspective on Amelia Perez. So she's writing back again. Hi, Joyce and Chris. Love the show. Back in December, you read my email, a trans perspective on Amelia Perez, for which I was grateful. In it, I predicted that the backlash would ultimately catch up and become so big that it would underperform at the Oscars, with Audiard missing director and Karla missing actress. I was certainly wrong about that, but maybe I was just a little bit too early. I think it's safe to say that the film's backlash is no longer just an online film Twitter thing thanks to Karla's horrific tweets. They have definitely been seen by the industry, and I do believe that this scuppers the film's chances at winning in most categories. Zoe might be safe if she handles the situation delicately. I hope the main lesson for the industry is to learn with this saga, to actually take the time to listen to marginalized groups when it comes to their representation. For the last few months, both trans people and Mexicans have been screaming at the Academy to take our concerns seriously about the terrible and insulting representation of this film. GLAAD even snubbed it in every category at their own award show and warned it was terrible representation months ago. It's a shame that's taken Karla going completely mask off for them to notice, but I mostly just hope that going forward they really don't make the mistake this costly again. They'll emerge from the season damaged but mostly intact if they listen in the future. Keep up the great work in the show. Thanks, it's Robin.
Wow, Robin. Thank you. I not to be cynical, but I'm not sure that's the lesson they'll take from this. I think the lesson they'll take from this is vet tweets, like vet social media history.
I think there'll definitely be more vetting of social media history, and it's actually crazy that has not been part. I mean, like most, like not going to knock anybody involved with this, but just like it's an oversight that is like shocking that could still happen. But I mean, it is what it is. I think, like we said, I think because who knows the reasons why they weren't considered. But I wonder if it is because she is part of a marginalized group, and maybe people involved were like, oh, we don't,
which
we
is
don't have
part
to
of
worry.
the problem, because it's like, again, you're like propping someone up.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't do that, because like people are full of multitudes. So
I actually don't know.
Everyone can be shitty.
I don't understand. I don't know what the industry will take from this. I think that's I think Robin's take is the positive one. I think your take is the cynical one that I would be more in line with. And I'm also worried that like the thing I hate is like thinking, oh, do people think this way, when it's like, oh, they, I'm sure some people who like the film, like we were saying even earlier this week, like were liking it and like the film, obviously, and they also like the message of the film and the progressive values. Would they be, after this, will they be less willing to give movies like this a shot? You know what I mean? Like even to, like, would it just be like, oh, this is too much, and if we don't do it exactly right, we're going to be screamed at online, and who knows what kind of controversies, so maybe we should just do it at all. I hope that doesn't what they take away from it, but I'm sure some people actually will take that away from it, which is disappointing, obviously.
I don't know. I feel like, because this case is just so specific, so I think it would just be so myopically focused on just like, you gotta check like your stars, like anyone involved in your film, like their social footprint. Like I don't know, like obviously there are very valid criticisms from trans and Mexican communities, but I don't know if like the industry itself or fans of the film are necessarily paying attention to that in the wake of this controversy, because I feel like the controversy is just about like Karla, and it's like, oh my gosh, she's still posting.
Right. And I actually think because she's still posting, it has now become like that's the controversy, right?
Like obviously
almost.
there's a lot of people who are just like, yeah, like look at her, like she sucks, and like we've been saying this whole time, like there are issues with this movie. Like it's a way to kind of like boost the criticism of it, but I don't know how many people are actually like the people in the industry are paying attention to it.
I got a couple more here. This one's from Nancy, a longtime listener, Joyce, who's written in before. Hi, Joyce and Chris. With the Emilia Perez controversy increasing due to Karla Gascon's offensive tweets, do you see the Academy addressing this publicly? I imagine Academy members are talking about it and determining their next steps in private, but could other award shows like BAFTA and SAG make a public statement as well? We have not heard from any of these shows.
I mean, I don't know why they would need to say anything. Like, it has nothing to do with them.
I guess I don't know either,
like,
but I also
what do people want them to say? Like, just to denounce her?
I mean, maybe, yeah, right? Like, I think that would probably go a long way to people being like, oh, they're taking this seriously. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they can do. You can't, that's another, we have a David L. one coming up, so I'll wait. But I'm like, I don't know what they're going to do, even in terms of having her at the show, right? Or will she just decide she doesn't want to?
I mean, she could just not go. I think a lot of people hope she comes.
I think that's what they're hoping, is that she decides she doesn't want to go, including Jocko Audiard, who basically said that yesterday. He was like, I want her just to go away, right? And no uncertain terms.
He hasn't even talked to her yet.
Right. He's just like, I don't want to talk to her and I don't want to see her. So not great. This is David L. This is the last Emilia. This is the last one that focused a lot on Emilia Perez, though. And we have a few more after this. Email us at slugfest@goldderby.com. Hi, Joyce and Chris. It's the person who foresaw the overperformance of A Complete Unknown, David L. It didn't get 10 nominations, like I said, but you have to admit I was close, and it wouldn't have been 10. It would have been 10 if it had gotten cinematography and editing. Well, it would have been Friday, David, if it was Friday, I guess I would say. We're recording this on Thursday. It didn't get 10. It got 8, but yes, congratulations. Here's the email. I have to say, after reading Karla's controversial tweets, it's hard to believe someone has this much hate for everyone. But the thing that really shocks me the most is that she had said bad things about Selena Gomez 6 months before they started shooting the movie together, and Karla posted it 5 months after she found out she and Selena Gomez were both going to be working together. Why is she trying to deny that part? It's one thing to say those things, but to actually say that they aren't real is just crazy. Since we know the Academy won't rescind her nomination because she didn't break any rules and the Academy doesn't want backlash by uninviting the first trans Oscar nominee, do you think if Karla will be allowed to attend the Oscars, and will she go anyway because she doesn't listen to anyone's advice? Will the producers avoid showing her on camera until the Best Actress category is presented? I'm so glad they won't be doing the Fab Five presenters for the acting categories again, because I miss the clips, and the last thing we need is awkward moments of actors telling other actors how great they are, like last year, which tricks my gag reflex. We want to see these performances and less ego petting.
I mean, she's tried to deny the Selena.
Yeah, that one was, it was, I think part of the translation was a rich rat. Was that what it was? But she says that one was doctored. And frankly, I don't know what to, like, at this point, there were so many tweets, and there are so many.
Oh, yeah, and there are definitely some that were fake.
Right.
That circulated.
But then some of the ones that I thought were fake originally were real, like the Oscars one that she tweeted so about. Real. That was a real one, right? But so it's just like, it is hard to, I'll take people at their word, I guess, right? Like, I mean, she's saying that one's not real. Why would, and she has admitted to some of the other ones, and she's saying they're taken out of I mean, like, she said so much about this. It's absolutely crazy. But yeah, that one she's saying is doctored. I don't know. I don't know if it was real or not, but she said it's not real. But yeah, she did post that. I mean, I don't know. That's absolutely nuts.
And I mean, honestly, like that, if like that is real, like it's so mild compared to everything else she tweeted that like I'm not even thinking about it. But I'm also not surprised that like I kind of feel like if it was real and she had posted that and then like she signed on to the movie, like she probably forgot she posted that about Selena. Yeah.
It's like the whole like, man, she is. Like we said, just too much.
It's just
posting.
like keyboard warrior. It's just
way
too
much posting,
online.
and just like, and not. I don't know. It's a real shame. It's just the whole thing. I feel like Zoe Saldana has said like multiple times, it just makes her sad, and I was like, I kind of feel that because it's just like, not even putting aside the movie. It's like, man, this whole thing sucks, right? Like, it's just like to have these terrible thoughts, to post all these terrible thoughts, to have to like all of this is just a mess. It's just it's so messy.
Yeah, and I mean, like it would be awkward, but it's like she is a nominee, so like she has a right to be there, And the thing is like ostensibly the Oscars are about awarding the work.
She had said that, I think, on the CNN Espanol interview, right? Like it's about the work. That's why she's not going to rescind the nomination.
That's what she's nominated for, her performance. So it's like there's no reason for her nomination to be rescinded.
Like back to the Nancy comment too. I don't think they're going to say anything. I think they're going to hope she doesn't come to these shows, right? She's not coming to Critics' Choice Awards like we know. And she might be going to the Goya Awards, I think, in Spain. Maybe she doesn't show up to the SAG Awards. And then maybe she comes to the Oscars. I don't know. And I think this statement will come. Will they invite her to be an Academy member next year? Like, like, will they just not invite her? She's a nominee, so she should be invited, right? Like,
I mean, like only like winners are guaranteed invites. They usually invite nominees, not always.
And she's a historic nominee, right? Like forever, she will be the first openly trans woman nominated for Best Actress. So they're not going to be able to like erase that from history.
Yeah. I think a lot of it depends on what she does or does not do in the next 3 weeks.
I think she could still salvage her personal. Well, I think she could still salvage it a little bit if she figures out a way to stop talking.
Reputation.
Well, her personal reputation is probably ruined for a lot of people forever, right? Certain people, I don't think people online are very forgiving, Joyce, it seems, right? Like, they don't really want...
Tell me more, please.
Let me tell you. They're not really forgiving, and they don't love rehabilitation or
no second chances for
reconciliation.
Anyone.
No, nothing. There's no second chances online. But I think in the industry or maybe in just real life, like, she could make amends in a way that people would be like, I understand, like, you obviously made a huge mistake, and, like, it's good to hear that you're listening and like understand this mistake. Right now, like I don't think people think she understands the mistake.
Yeah, because she hasn't really hasn't actually expressed the contrition at all.
Actual apology, right? Yeah. I went back and read the this has gone way beyond the Nick Vallelonga one, right, from Green Book. But
that
I went back and
one tweet.
Well, it was just one tweet, but I mean the thing with that one was, but there's one tweet, there's probably a lot more, not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, if you tweet what he tweeted, you probably have views that a lot of people would think are not,
but like
their views.
It's her volume of tweets, and then she, attacked like every single group you could.
Yes,
like his was just one tweet, and then his apology was also very contrite.
But his apology, that's what I was going to say. I thought his apology was like really on point, right? Mm-hmm. And I think like when you read back, even if people at the time maybe were like, I don't believe this and screw this guy, right? Because like even to reference Trump in that way would be, and what he said about Muslims would be considered completely disqualifying forever. But I mean, if you read the apology, it is like pretty.
And then he laid low, like he did what you're supposed to do when you're trying to mitigate a controversy like this. You know, you apologize and then you disappear for a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and also like it was easier for them to do that because he wasn't the face of the movie. You know,
right,
he was just a writer.
It's completely apples and oranges, I understand.
Yeah,
but I'm just like, his apology was really good, I guess would be my...
And then I think like you could also tell, because the first apology on Thursday, the really short one, came directly from Netflix. And you could tell that they had probably written a longer one that was probably more remorseful, and she didn't sign off on that, and she cut it down to like those 3 sentences.
And she didn't apologize. And I'm
and
sorry
then the
if I
next
offended
day
you.
was
that
when
was what her apology was.
Yeah, the next day was when
you.
she sent like her long one to the Hollywood Reporter.
Yeah, not great, Bob. Let's take a quick break, Joyce, and we'll be back with more emails. Hey, we're back here on Awards Magnet. Email us at slugfest@goldderby.com. This one's from Gabriel, Joyce, another longtime emailer. Hi, Joyce and Chris. I haven't emailed you in a while, mainly because I wasn't sure when there would be another mailbag episode. However, I too would like to be a part of the show. So here's my resume. I'm not qualified for shit. Am I hired? Anyhow, I got to see The Brutalist with my family recently. My mother, who often falls asleep in the cinema, not only stayed awake for the entirety of its runtime, but also said it felt like a Best Picture winner from 30 years ago. Hopefully pretty soon it's going to be a Best Picture winner from 0 years ago, especially if the Amelia Perez train can be stopped. Finally, I just want to mention that Steve Zahn is absolutely terrific in season 2 of Silo and deserves an Emmy nomination. Thanks for reading, and as always, keep up the good work and take care. It's from Gabriel.
Is that like a compliment?
Which one?
The Brutalist would have been a Best Picture winner from 30 years ago?
Yes, I think that's meant to be a compliment.
Yeah, I don't know why it can't be one now.
I think we're recording this obviously Thursday. This weekend is a big weekend. We all assume The Brutalist will win at the DGA, right? If Brady Corbet somehow lost at DGA, that would be a tremendous upset. And what would even be the equivalent of him losing? At
DGA?
Yes.
I mean, I don't think it's like, I mean, like when like Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu won like over Richard Linklater, but I think that was a closer race.
Yeah.
But like before that, it was like Boyhood was the favorite.
Right.
So, but like there's really no competition.
Not this year. So we all think the Brutalist is going to win there. And then I think PGA, like we've talked about, is going to be really indicative of where this race will go. And I don't think it'll be that impacted by the Amelia Perez controversy because their voting was ending the day her tweets were going live, right? And she was exposed.
They were already live.
Right. They were going viral, I guess. I mean, but if Brutalist wins PGA, I think that's a great sign for it to then maybe really just kind of steamroll, because I think it's going to win Critics' Choice Awards, right? That's what we think. It seems like, which doesn't matter. It's not industry, but also it's a win. So it's always good to be shown winning things on TV. If it wins PGA and then it wins BAFTA, like all of a sudden, you know, what's going to stop the Brutalist from just going all the way? So it could, it could have a really big weekend, and I guess we'll see what happens.
I think what's good for the Brutalist is like now that it's being seen more, it's out to the public. The response is good.
Mm-hmm.
Like Gabriel's mom, you know, like
mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people before this, like 6 months ago, thought it would, like we've talked ad nauseum about this, like they thought it would be like Power of the Dog. It would be too cold and remote, and like audience scores will be bad. But no, like they're pretty good for the Brutalist, because the movies are not the same at all, except for just being like austere films, but like the tones are completely different. And it's really not hard to get into the Brutalist. Like it's a very conventional story. Yeah.
It's funny, what I've seen from people who've seen it, I know some normies who've seen it, and some people in the industry or like pay attention to the industry who've seen it. And I think like the people who are like, I think like Gabriel's mom, no disrespect, I'm assuming is a normie, right? Like Gabriel's mom there. I think they would like it because it's like a lot of, but like when I hear people talking about it who are criticizing it, it usually is that it's like too basic. Like especially this, a lot of the subtext becomes such obvious text in the second half that it's like a turnoff for smarty pants cinephiles sometimes. And I'm like, that actually, like you were saying, like I think
especially like the twist. Like,
yeah. So I'm like, I think Power of the Dog, like it never felt like, we've said this, it never felt like Power of the Dog or Killers of the Flower Moon beyond like the 30,000 foot view, basically. But I always thought it was vulnerable to a passion pick like Amelia Perez because of like the way we've seen the Academy respond in the past. But without Amelia Perez really in play for Best Picture now, which I think we would probably both agree with is the ship has sailed on the Best Picture win. I don't really know what else could win. I mean, maybe Anora would get that enthusiasm, but we haven't seen that really. And I guess all this can change if like Anora wins PGA. Wicked, I think, is like too mainstream and like there's not a lot of buzz around it anymore. No disrespect to the Wicked stands, but I just don't know what else could win. I see people going to Complete Unknown, but I also don't believe there's a lot of passion for that. I think people really like it, but it's not like it's not like that passion-y movie.
It's kind of like Conclave-y in a way. Just like totally solid and enjoyable.
And what is it, not to go back to this, but like a lot of the Best Picture winners, unless they're like overwhelmingly obvious, like Oppenheimer, really do, what do they say? And I'm like, what is Complete, I'm falling into this trap, but I'm like, Complete Unknown is just a really good movie to me. It's not saying anything about the broader culture at large, right? Like, so it's saying something about being an artist, which I think maybe people would respond to, but I don't know. So I'm just like, I don't know what fits besides The Brutalist right now. I think it seems like I think it could be.
Yeah. And like, there's like, I think like there's passion behind The Brutalist. And like, I think there is passion behind Anora too. Like, it has its fans. I think, like the problem for it, like campaign wise, is like it hasn't won anything yet.
Right.
So it hasn't like shown that it's a winner. It's just really consistent getting the nominations.
Yeah.
So like maybe it'll win like a screenplay tomorrow, Critics' Choice.
I think that seems right. But will they even give it out on the air?
No, they don't air screenplays either. Remember? So.
All right, Joyce, we have a few emails left. These are mostly for fun. These are for the fans.
I love the fun ones.
First of all, Bianca's back.
I love Bianca. The best.
Bianca, if you're a new listener, is our this or that kind of either or person. She emails often. Hi, Joyce and Chris. In light of the new Dunkin commercial for the Super Bowl, I wanted to ask you a very important question this week. Ben Affleck or Casey Affleck? That's from Bianca.
Wow, Bianca knows us so well.
I mean, she's a loyal listener, Joyce. Yeah. She knows we love this shit. When I saw that Dunkin' Donuts commercial, I basically got several texts from friends who were like, you must be so excited. That is the most you commercial I've ever seen. And I was like, it is. So, and I was thrilled.
Earlier on this past Sunday, because Dunkin' had Instagrammed a teaser of it. Mm-hmm. It was just Ben and Casey.
Sure.
And like, you didn't see like Jeremy's name on the door. So
sure.
And then I was like, I was like telling my friends, I was like, who else is in this? And then it was Jeremy Strong. It was like incredible stuff.
Well, we have a Jeremy question coming up right after this, Joyce. So let's button him and do Ben or Casey.
So Ben or Casey. For me, Casey.
I knew you were going to say Casey. And while I love him in the commercial, I got to go down. Ben is my ride or die for life.
I love Ben, but like Casey, Casey is the superior actor in the family. And I think even Ben would say that.
100%.
And like, I think his comedic skills are also so underrated too. And you really see that. Like, he's like low-key MVP in a lot of his movies and in this commercial too.
I just love Ben is just I just love Ben Affleck so much. I think he is one of the great celebrities and movie stars of my lifetime.
And one of the smartest celebrities too. Like, actually smart.
When he's actually really smart. He's incredibly intelligent. Which is why my host thing is when people are really smart, they always have a tough time in life because they're just too smart to live sometimes. And I feel like maybe that's Ben's issue a lot of times too. But man, I love him so much. But I was so in on this commercial. Here's the Jeremy email. This is from definitely not a Dunkin' representative, Joyce. Hi. Jeremy Strong appearing in a Dunkin' commercial for the Super Bowl might be my favorite Oscar campaign yet. It's up there with Paul Bettany's Emmy campaign for WandaVision, just being him posting old photos of his dog on Instagram.
Iconic.
Paul should have won. I hope this commercial shows all the haters that Jeremy does have a sense of humor and isn't, quote, difficult like so many people desperately want him to be. Do you think this will have an impact on his chances during Phase 2 voting? Also, have you tried the Dunking's meal yet? It's definitely not a Dunkin' representative.
Definitely not a Dunkin' representative. I'm so glad you asked because I got that yesterday when it launched on Wednesday. Wow. I actually have the box right here.
Oh, wow. Let me see. Props.
I texted photos to Chris and he was like, what is that?
I thought it was a mailer. I'm not lying. I was like, I want to get this mailer. Dunkin', he'll hook me up, but I could just order it on my phone.
I know. I just love that Boston right here.
Great.
If you're listening to this and you can't see it.
Dunkin', hit us up. If you like what you hear, hit us up.
And then I don't know if anyone has seen it yet, but this morning today, Thursday morning, Dunkin' just posted another teaser from the Super Bowl ad, and I
haven't seen it.
Yeah, and it's just Ben and Casey, and Ben is saying that like he came up with this meal,
Fantastic.
the $6 meal. But so I actually got a text from my friend about exactly what definitely not a Dunkin representative asked, and this person was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe like Jeremy is actually making fun of himself," and I'm like, this is the problem. Yeah. I'm like, everyone thinks he is humorless and like a sourpuss and incredibly intense. I'm like, no, like, first of all, you don't know him, but like the man is just serious about his work.
Yes.
Like, and I think if you watch any interview with him or like extended interviews with him or listen to like podcasts with him, like he has a sense of humor. Like, I think people just, they've just run with the narrative from the New Yorker profile from 3 years ago.
It's pretty
inaccurate.
Unfair. Yeah, it's pretty unfair. I'll say this. I think the the supporting actor races are locked up, even for Zoe Saldana. We haven't talked about that much this week, but we did talk about it earlier on Monday, I think, or Tuesday's episode, whatever. I think she'll actually, I still think she's like safe to win. And I think Kieran is like, I've seen people try to like convince themselves like Edward Norton can win. I actually think Jeremy would have a decent shot of being like a runner up because I think people really do love him and the performance is so good. And really like, I think he could win, but I just don't, but I think Kieran is obviously going to win. So I don't think this will help Jeremy's Oscar campaign, but it's great to see.
It's just great. I mean, like you're not our true Bostonian until you're in a Dunkin ad.
It's great.
And I mean, Kieran also has his own Super Bowl ad. Like he voices a whale for the NerdWallet ad. So you got
not dueling, as good as this.
You got dueling Super Bowl ads from them. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Jeremy ultimately finishes second.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he could be second too.
I know. He just did a Q&A last night in London with Jesse Armstrong.
So good. We got two more, Joyce. This one came in. These are now sports ones. So if you don't like sports, you could tune out.
Sports ones are the best.
Sports ones are the best ones. This one is near and dear to my heart. It's from Carlos, sent it in this morning. Hi, Joyce and Chris. Our long national nightmare is over. Pete Alonso is back at the Mets on a 2-year deal. What's your gut reaction to him returning? Screw the Super Bowl. I'm officially in baseball mode now. That's from Carlos.
Exactly, Carlos. Exactly.
My impression was, I'm glad he's back. I found the whole to Steve Cohen at Mets Fan Fest, Amazing, whatever it was, Amazing Day was like, it's just, he really was like, this is exhausting. It sucks. The negotiation is terrible. I was like very annoyed with Scott Boras and the whole thing. I think Pete Alonso was like maybe oversold and overpromised things that Boras was never going to deliver, and then had to like really, basically the reason he has taken so long to resign is because he had to square his ego and Boras's ego with the fact that they were not going to get the deal they wanted. So now he gets this $30 million deal, which is like the highest average annual value, right? For single season. Like he's the highest paid first baseman now based on that for next season. And then he'll opt out presumably next year, but we'll have a World Series title by then, Joyce. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that he stayed. I thought all like the Toronto stuff was just like whatever, you know.
Who was going to play? Who was going to sign this guy?
Yeah, it was just like a matter of time for him to resign for me. Like I've been talking to my friends about this for like months because like my friend was like afraid he was going to leave. I'm like, no, like Steve will get him. Like
he could have left if any of the other teams wanted him, but nobody really wanted him. Nobody had room for him. Even the Blue Jays went with Santander instead of him, right? Like it just was like nobody was going to sign him except for the Mets.
Yeah,
so I'm glad
and now we just have a bunch of sluggers.
It's just the greatest. It fits so well. And he's I understand I've been Pete Alonso is a great Met choice, but before he hit his home run against the Brewers, I was like, get him off this fucking team. He was so bad last year. I thought
that would like if they had gone all the way, like that moment. Imagine
if they had gone all the way, he would have not come back. And if they would have lost that game and then get to the NLCS, he would have not come back. The only way he comes back is because he hits that home run.
Yeah, like he had that moment, and it's just like
right. But next year I'm assuming he'll opt out again, unless he has a really bad year or he gets hurt, which God forbid, because I think that would hurt the team. And then he'll just go somewhere else, and we'll give Vlad Guerrero on here. It's going to be great. And Joyce, last one here from Mac. This is a tennis one, I believe.
Yes.
Joyce, not Chris. I'm just going to sit this one. I'll read it to you. Joyce, Cincinnati has announced it's expanding to 14 days instead of the usual 9, and it's not even building in days to go to Kings Island.
It's an amusement park for anyone who doesn't know.
I'm kidding, sort of. What are your thoughts? Longer tournaments seem like a terrible idea in a sport already. That already feels like a grueling march to the finish line at times. That's from Mac.
It's annoying. Cincy is a Masters event, and which is like a 1000s event for both the WTA and ATP, and this has been happening for like the past 2 years because Madrid and Rome expanded into like from like 2 weeks into like a 96 player draw. So it became 2 weeks 2 years ago, and it's annoying for the players because it like throws them off their rhythm, and if they like lose, it's hard like when they lose early because then they have to like figure out like where like another event to go to, but then it's like a lot of people are still at the previous event. It's like it's a whole like scheduling thing, and it just feels very lumpy. But it's just a capitalist play, which is annoying. So like the other thing that happened in the past week, I guess last week now, is the US Open. They're going to do a Sunday start too. It's because it normally starts on a Monday, so now they're extending the first round over 3 days, which is what the French Open has done for years, and Australian Open has just started doing that. So now Wimbledon is the only one that doesn't start on a Sunday, and it's just like this is just annoying for like everyone involved too, because it's like you're trying to get all our money, and then like the players are like off schedule, especially for a Grand Slam, and then they're doing this other like silly thing where they're going to have like mixed doubles start during qualifying week. It's so stupid, but this is all just capitalism at work.
Capitalism is bad, is what we're saying. Mm-hmm. All right, let's leave it there. Can't come up with a better ending there. Joyce, everyone can email us at slugfest@goldderby.com, and we'll be back next week to talk PGA, DJ, BAFTAs, all great things.
And then whatever Karla does.
I'm hoping not. I just, like I said this I think we said this at the end of Monday.
It's so exhausting.
I'm like, please stop.
It's so exhausting.
Log off. Please log off for the sake of everybody who works at Netflix and all of us who cover this, and for yourself. It's just take a health break from the social media. Anyway, we'll talk to you then. Bye. Thanks for listening to Awards Magnet. The show is produced by Aaron Greenwald. Our logo is designed by Chelsea Sikora. To be part of the show, email us at slugfests@goldderby.com and follow us on social media @goldderby.